Yes, sir.
Sure.
All right. Again, like I said earlier, we're just going to be talking about how do you create a thesis statement, right? What are some of those components? What are some of the ways we can go about that? So I'll just be sharing my screen right up. Sorry, 1 second. So crafting a compelling thesis statement. So how do we do that? Can someone tell me before we go on, what is a thesis statement? Anyone?
So introductory description of what you are going to write about.
Yeah, it's an introductory description of what you'll be writing about. And how many of you here have actually completed any assignments where your professor told you to complete or just to craft a thesis statement? Thumbs up.
Yes.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So for many of us, that has happened before, right? So if we think through like a thesis statement, one of the things that we need to also like look out for is like before even thinking about a thesis statement, you want to think about what are some academic expectations, right? That helps you to navigate how to create a thesis statement or how to just think through creating a thesis statement. What are some academic expectations? So now, when you're writing in an academic setting, the goal is that you're able to factually answer questions of interest, meaning that you're writing about a topic of interest and then you're actually interrogating that topic, right? You're asking questions about that topic. For instance, if I have a topic about, let me use this, a water bottle, right? I'm so interested in writing about a water bottle, right? So I want to ask myself questions about, okay, what is a water bottle, right? In what ways have water bottles developed over time? How do we use water bottles differently, right? So for many of you, the goal might be that you want to interrogate a topic. So the goal is not that in an academic setting, the goal is not just for you to provide information, or the goal is not just for you to understand information, right? But then you want to also interrogate information, right? You want to ask questions, right? And then the second thing is persuasive thoughts, right? So again, like I said earlier, the goal in college is not just for you to understand information, but then you want to interrogate information. You want to ask questions about any idea, right? But then the second thing is this: you don't just also want to you don't just want to deliver information, but you want to also, like in an academic setting, the goal is that you're able to like communicate your information in a way that is persuasive, right? So you're not just telling your audience A, B, and C, right? You're not just telling your audience this is what it is, but you also want to persuade your audience by indicating why it is what it is, right? You want to tell us why. You want to provide logical reasons, right? And all of that, right, contributes to how you consider crafting a thesis statement, right? The other thing is that we talked about this, you want to factually interrogate and dialogue observations, right? One other thing we always talk about is this, right? Every information in some way, right? Most research in college has what we call limitations, right? So your goal as a student is to find those limitations, right? For instance, if I have this big water bottle right here in front of me, and I want to write and someone has actually produced this water bottle right here. But again, if you look at this water bottle, as good looking as it is, well, some of you might even say this is ugly, right? But as good looking as it might be, right? This water bottle has limitations. If I look clearly at this water bottle and I say, you know what, this water bottle has some limitations, right? And the limitation could be that, okay, I feel like if students are going to be using this kind of water bottle, it might be too heavy for them, right? Students that are moving from one class to the other, right? This kind of water bottle might be too heavy for them to carry, right? As much as this water bottle is good, right? It gives you enough water to drink in a day, right? It allows you to store water enough for a day, but at the same time, this water bottle is heavy if it's filled up, right? And it might not be beneficial for maybe students or working class individuals who always commute, right? Who are always like walking around, right? This might be too heavy. This might be extra load, right?
Mhm.
So you're looking for limitations in ideas,
Right.
right? So the other thing is this. The last thing is this. So whenever you're writing an essay, and this is so important, this is the most important thing you should take away, right? You are supposed to focus on an area of study, an audience, or a situation, or a particular situation, or some people will call it a particular context, right? So you're not writing. So whenever your professor tells you to write on a particular topic, right? The professor is not asking you to write everything about that topic.
Mhm.
For instance, again, let's go back to this water bottle, right? If my professor tells me to write about this water bottle, right? Or my professor just says, Golden, write about this water bottle, right? For me, I might say, you know what, I just, if I want to write everything about this water bottle, that's going to take me about what? 10 pages.
Mhm.
Right? Or
Right.
maybe probably 100 pages for some other students, right? But then I might say, you know, I want to focus on just writing maybe the kinds of individuals that will probably use this water bottle, this particular water bottle. I want to focus on that. Or maybe I want to focus on the function of this kind of water bottle for athletes, right? So it depends on you, right? You cannot write everything about a particular topic, right? And this is why we craft a thesis statement. Your thesis statement is to help you narrow down a topic to a particular unit of idea, right? So that you're not writing everything about a particular topic, right? So it narrows it down. And you're telling your audience that, you know what, I know there is so much to say about this topic, but this is what I want to talk about, right? And how many of you here are preachers, or you're pastors and you preach? Thumbs up.
Not yet.
Okay, good. Right, Ronald, I'm sure you must have experienced this, right? Before you go out to preach, right? Maybe you have a passage you want to preach, maybe Romans 12, right? Probably, right? And then when you read Romans 12, you're like, whoa, there's so much to talk about here, right? But then there are times you're like, you know what? I want to narrow this down. I don't want to say everything about Romans 12. I'm going to narrow this down to a particular unit, right? Because if you're going to say everything about Romans 12 in a 30-minute sermon, I'm sure it's going to exceed 30 minutes, right? So you get it, right? So you want to narrow it down. So again, that's the same thing in college. That's the same thing in college writing. And that is why many pastors, before they even preach, right, they have like a thesis, right? When they are preaching to the audience, there's a thesis. Just tell the audience that this is all I'm talking about in this sermon. I'm not going to say any other thing except this, right? Do you get it? You might be expecting me to talk about all of this, but I'm just only going to focus on this one thing, right? And that's the goal of a thesis. So even for you as students, even when your professor tells you, right, write on this topic, right? Your professor is not expecting you to write everything about that topic, but to narrow down that topic to a unit of thought, right? That's it. And your thesis statement shows that unit of thought that you've narrowed that topic to, right? So what's a thesis statement? A thesis statement, like I think it was either Claybrook or Ronald, you said it. A thesis statement identifies the central argument of an essay. Right? It tells us this is what my essay is going to be all about. I'm not going to exceed this. I'm not going to go beyond this. And also, I'm not going to go below this. Right? So, yeah. So you have to think about your thesis statement as a promise. You're making a promise to your audience. Right? You're saying, this is all I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to fulfill this promise, but I'm not going to exceed the promise. I'm not going to over deliver. right? And I'm also not going to under deliver, right? So, and someone tell me, where do you place your thesis statement?
At the end of the introduction?
Good job. Yes. It's supposed to be, in most cases, your thesis statement will be the last sentence in your introduction paragraph, right? In most cases, but there are some professors that will allow you to place your thesis statement as the second to the last sentence, right? Some professors allow that, right? But then your thesis statement, most cases, it will be the last sentence in your introduction paragraph, right? Okay, so the form of the thesis statement. So how does a thesis statement look, right? Before we even think about crafting a thesis statement, we also want to like think about, how does this look, right? What does a thesis statement look like, right? So a thesis statement is one sentence containing a claim and supporting points. So like we said, a thesis statement is just, sorry, I didn't even say that earlier. A thesis statement is just one sentence, right? It's not two, it's not three, it's just one. Right? How many of us agree with me on that? Give me a thumbs up if you agree that a thesis statement is just one sentence. Yes. Yeah.
I guess that's what it says.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's it. Right. It's just one sentence. Right. But your thesis statement must contain two parts, right? It must have a claim and it must have supporting points. Right. So look at this example. It says school administrators should implement school uniform policies. That's a claim. The claim is that school administrators should implement school uniform policies. Like we want our students to wear what? School uniforms, right? That's it. But then that's the claim. But this part that is on green here is the supporting points, right? To improve students' academic performance. It tells us why that should be done. So that's the supporting point. Your thesis statement must have those two parts. Without the second, so a thesis statement without a supporting point is just a vague, people call it a vague thesis statement, right? It's just vague. Like, okay, why are we, again, but remember, right, the reason why we have a supporting point is because, again, we want to narrow down the topic. Imagine you write this, right? Remember we said your thesis statement is the promise you're making to your audience. Imagine you write school administrators should implement school uniform policies as your thesis. Your audience will be expecting a lot from you. Your audience will be expecting you to write probably, like, you won't blame your audience if they're asking you for 1,000 pages to justify why that should happen, right? But then if you put your supporting points here, this helps your audience to see that, oh, okay, this person just wants to tell us that wearing school uniform would improve student academic performance, right? Okay, all right, let's see what he's going to say about that, right? That's it. Do you get it? Now, one thing you also need to know is this, right? In many cases, your professor might require a minimum of 3 supporting points, right? I'm sure many of you must have heard that. Your professor will say, no, I don't just want 1, I want at least 3, right? But then as you're growing up in your academic knowledge, as you're growing up in your college pursuits, as you're growing in your college pursuits, like maybe when you get to your doctoral study, right, you can now start having 1 point thesis statement, right? You can just provide 1 point, right? But for now, if you're an undergraduate or maybe you're early into your graduate studies, your professors will probably require 3, right? Yeah. So, but then when you're in your doctorate, your professors can't control you anymore, right? You can just give them 1 and they will be fine, right? Yeah, right? So that's it. That's the form. So one thing that we would want to talk about is the process of crafting a compelling thesis, right?
Okay.
So I'll say that there are 6 processes here, right? So the first thing is that you want to develop your topic, like you want to generate your topic. Like, what do I want to talk about in my essay, right? And then the next thing is this, you want to create what we call the thesis topic, right? And the next thing after that is you want to create what we call the thesis question. And the next thing after that is that you want to create what we call the thesis answers. And then the next thing is the thesis statement rough draft. And finally, the thesis statement revised draft. Right? So develop the topic, thesis top. The next thing is the thesis topic. I know some of you might be looking at this and you're like, no, what do you mean by that? Like, what's the difference between topic and thesis topic? Like, what do you mean? Right? So we're going to talk about that now. So before I go to a new page, any questions?
Nope.
Okay, hold on a second. I want to get this down. Give me a second here.
Yes.
I
Yes.
just want to make sure I have them. Statement rough draft. 5. And revise.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's do this. Now, the next thing we would want to look at is this, right? So when you have a thesis statement, right? So it's a blank Word document, right? And so the first thing you want to think about is, like we said, so process, thesis statement, process. So a quick quiz before we go on. How many sentences is a thesis statement?
1.
One.
Good job. Yay. Good job. Yeah. Awesome. Right. So we got that right. Yeah. Good. So, and what you want to do is the first thing you want to do, like I said, is that you want to like generate a topic, right? In most cases, your professor will generate that for you, right? In most cases, your professor will definitely tell you what you should write about, right? But in some cases, your professor might tell you to come up with a topic yourself, right? And because of our time, right? So what I've done here is, let me just write this as so generating a topic. So I have about 5 topics here that I want to talk about. Pastoral burnout. I have 5 topics here, and I just want us to choose one. Energy drinks, quality sleep, excessive screen time. And then the final one should be infant baptism. All right, let's look at this. So we have 5 topics here, but before we go on, I just want to tell you, all right, this is an example of a topic, right? Or some of you might call it what? A title. It's a title, right? This is an example of these are all examples of what a topic looks like, right? So we have all of this right here, right? But again, we have to choose one, right? Don't worry, we're going to create another thesis statement later, right? So can someone tell me, Ronald and Claybrook, I think the 2 of you are the only ones here. Like, what topic would you choose from here?
Energy drinks.
Energy drinks, right? Okay. What's your other option, Claybrook? If you don't choose energy drink, what's your other option?
Quality sleep.
Quality sleep. All right. Ronald, what's yours? What do you choose?
Pastoral burnout for sure.
Pastoral burnout for sure. All right. What's your other option?
I would select quality sleep. Well,
okay. So since the 2 of you had quality sleep in common, right?
Right.
Don't worry. Let's start with quality sleep for now, right? Let's talk about quality sleep, right? So we have our title here, right? So we have this quality sleep, right? Or our topic. Now, what's the next thing? Can someone tell me? I know many of you are taking notes. What's the next thing? So our first process is done. We have a topic, right? We have something we want to write about, right? But remember what we said, right? The goal of academic writing is this. You don't want to write everything about quality sleep. You don't want to exhaust all of because you can't. That's the truth.
Right.
Right? There's so much to write about quality sleep. Right? If you really think about it. But then so the next process we'll be going through, which the thesis statements will help us to do, is just to narrow down this topic, right? So now to narrow down this topic, the next item is to create what we call the thesis topic, right? So now the thesis topic is, I always advise students with this, right? The thesis topic is, first of all, it's a sentence. And so it indicates in many cases, not all cases, in many cases, it indicates your primary audience. Now, who is your primary audience? Your primary audience is the main people you want to, the main individuals that you want to write to, that this quality, that they probably need to hear about your topic.
Pastors.
Right? So in this, maybe pastors, it could be pastors. I don't know. It could be anybody, just based on you. It could be college students. It could be adult college students. It could be commuters in college. Wherever, but you need to choose just one, right? It could be children, right? It could be babies, newborn babies, right?
Members of the church.
It could be church members, right? Quality sleep, yeah, right? So you need to choose one. So the first thing, like I said, it's a sentence, right? A thesis topic is not this, right? It's a sentence. But then you need to think about the people you're writing to create this, right? So we need to agree on one audience, right? Who do we want to write to? Who is our first audience that you feel like, I think these people need quality sleep. They need to hear about quality sleep.
Well,
Pastors?
Pastors.
I was thinking, let's
just go with that.
When you fall asleep with the pastors.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Pastors. So how would you write that in a sentence? Pastors need to what? Or you could even put should. Pastors should
get quality sleep.
Okay, right? Get quality sleep. Right. So one thing you want to also when you're also crafting this thing, you want to stay away from vague words like get. Get is a vague word, right? So maybe you want to use words like cultivate, right? Cultivate quality sleep, right? Or you want to think about another word that works well. Another synonym. I can even check. Let's see if there's a synonym that works well here. Yeah, foster should develop, right? Should develop quality sleep, right? So something like that, right? You can think, okay, so this is an assignment. I want you all to, how many of you have your phones there with you? All right, so look for a synonym that will work instead of cultivate. Pastor should what?
I can't get online with my phone.
Receive. Receive is good. It's good, but you can't receive sleep. Like you don't receive it. Right.
Obtain.
You can't obtain sleep.
Acquire.
No, pastors should cultivate, right? Maybe pastors should practice quality sleep,
Okay.
right? Something like that.
Well,
right?
see, now I would probably keep cultivate and cultivate quality sleep habits.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
So now I want you all to note this, right? This right here is your thesis topic. This is not a thesis topic. I mean, sorry, quality sleep is not a thesis topic. Do you get it?
Yeah.
But this is a thesis topic.
Okay.
Any questions?
I have a question, but I don't know what it is. To be quite frank, I'm trying to discern the difference, or as I'm trying to discern why pastors should cultivate quality sleep habits is a thesis topic and quality sleep is not.
Quality sleep is not, because based on academic expectations, this is not narrowed. If okay, let's imagine this, right?
So it's vague.
Yeah, you get it. Yeah, it's vague. Like, well, I won't say it's vague, right? I'll just say it's not well narrowed, because let's imagine your thesis, because the only reason this is just a topic and not a thesis topic is because this quality sleep here cannot be a thesis statement. It cannot even contribute to a thesis. Imagine I say something like, let's say quality sleep leads to, let's imagine I say something like this. Quality sleep leads to high quality sleep. Yes, leads to high productivity. This is too broad. Sorry, quality sleep. All right. Why? Because you need to, if you're going to write how quality sleep leads to high productivity, trust me, you're going to write 1,000 pages. Because high productivity is different is different among different set of people. High productivity is different among students. Like, if you're going to say high productivity has a different meaning among students. High productivity has a different meaning among the elderly, has a different meaning among what else? Teenagers, has a different meaning among infants, newborn baby. So the only thing missing here is the what? Is the audience, the primary audience.
Right.
Do you get it? It's not yet a thesis topic until you add your primary audience. Right? So maybe you want to say quality sleep among, I don't know, college students. You see that?
Yeah.
Leads to high product, or it could even be a big one. Non-traditional college students. Non-traditional college students, like those are like your 24 and above who are in undergrad, right? Non-traditional undergraduate, sorry. Yeah, non-traditional undergraduate college students. Those are 24 and above. Some of them are married. Some of them are grandparents already. Some of them are working class, and they're also doing college on the side, right? They need quality sleep, right? So that's it. That's why you need a primary audience. That narrows down your work, because you don't want your audience to keep asking, okay, what about pastors? What about babies? What about, right? So with this, you're telling your audience, you know what? I'm just writing. Anybody can read this, right? But I'm writing. My primary audience is the pastors. All right. So the next thing after your thesis topic will be your what? Your thesis question. Right. So in most cases, we always say that when you write a thesis question, you should ask, the question should be asked in what? How do you ask a thesis question? It should be asked in what form? How many of you know that?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's all right. So you should ask it in what we call the open, use open-ended question format. Right. So that's the way you should ask that question. Right. So open-ended question format is when you start your question with what? Can someone tell me what's an open-ended question?
One that requires an answer?
Well, you're almost there. Not necessarily.
It leaves room for rebuttal. It leaves room for an answer, for for consideration.
Okay, good, but you're almost
Incomplete.
there.
It's
No.
incomplete.
So an open-ended question an open-ended question is one that requires a descriptive answer rather than a yes or no answer. So an open-ended question, you cannot answer the question with yes or no. You cannot. You can only answer that question with a descriptive answer. Right? So let me ask you this question. Claybrook, if I ask you, should newborn babies cultivate a sleep routine? What would your answer be?
Repeat the question.
Should newborn babies
Yeah.
cultivate a sleep routine?
Yes,
Okay, let me put it this way. Yes,
Yes.
right? Should newborn babies have a sleep routine? Yes.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's right.
Yes. Right? Good. So Ronald, let me ask you this question. Should the elderly be involved in daily exercise?
Yes, they should.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, right? Just a yes or no answer. That's so the questions I just asked you is well, they are closed-ended, right? They just require a yes or no answer. But then, Claybrook, if I ask you, why should newborn babies have a sleep routine? What would you say?
There are a number of reasons why.
Okay, can you give me one reason?
Uh, it helps them to develop habits for maturity.
Yes, well, it helps in their cognitive development. It contributes to their cognitive development, their brain development, right? When they
Right.
start building that sleep routine, right? So that's it, right? Do you see that? Can you even see, Claybrook, that the answer you gave was descriptive? It was not yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ronald, if I ask you, how should the elderly, how can the elderly practice daily exercise?
By walking,
Walking,
increasing their mobility,
yes.
swimming.
Swimming, yes. So that's it, right? Can you see that you're giving a more descriptive answer, right? So that's it. So for your thesis question here, you want to ask what? Based on your thesis topic here, you want to ask an open-ended question, right? So in most cases, your open-ended question markers will start with words such as how, when, sometimes how, when, why, who, what, right? And where, right? But then in most cases, right? Most cases it's always what? In most cases, your question would always lean towards the how and why questions. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
In most cases, the how and why, right? So we need just one thesis question, right? So can someone tell me what would be our thesis question? How would you craft our thesis question based on the thesis topic here, right? How would you craft the thesis question? Pastors should cultivate quality sleep. Cultivate quality sleep habits.
How would pastors benefit from cultivating quality sleep habits?
Good, right? Good, 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 right? But one thing you want to also do is that, yeah, but that's a good question, right? But also one thing you want to do is that you shouldn't add any other idea to your thesis topic, right? Use the word benefit, right? So maybe the question you wanted to ask is, why should pastors cultivate quality sleep habits? And also, it's the same thing, right? It's the same thing, but just to be on a safer place, right? Don't add any word to your thesis topic. Like you added the word benefits,
Okay.
right? So why should pastors cultivate quality sleep habits? Right? So we have our question already, right there. So now,
the thesis question, essentially, if I'm understanding what you're doing here, is merely a rearrangement of the thesis topic from a statement to a question.
yes, from a statement to a question.
Okay.
Yes. So now this takes us to the big no pattern, right? So I teach kids choir, right? When I tell them, so I teach the kids how to sing in my church, and I tell them this is a no pattern, means don't do this, right?
Right.
So a thesis statement, I want you to note this. A thesis statement is never a question. Remember, what we have here is a thesis question, right? We're going to get to the thesis statement later on. So your thesis statement can never be a question, right? So D, the next thing we want to provide now is what? What's the next part? After your thesis question, you want to provide what?
The answer, the thesis answer.
Thesis answers, right? So because we said your professor would so this is another quiz, right? In most cases, a professor would expect how many supporting points in your thesis statement? How many?
3.
3. Good job, right? So that means that in most cases, you'll be required to provide 3 answers. Do you get it? So I always advise students to do this. Whenever you're providing your answers, right, provide as many answers as possible. And then you can now pick the 3 that are best, that are most suitable, right, for you, right? So, so let's look at this. Your thesis answers, right? So, why should pastors cultivate quality sleep? Let's start giving ourselves answers. Let's do this. This is the best part.
So they don't fall asleep.
Yeah.
So they don't fall asleep while they're preaching.
Oh no, that's funny.
That's
All
funny.
right.
So they can maintain their energy level?
Yes.
So they can productively make their statements, their points.
Yeah.
Woo.
Good one.
Yes. So do you want to use the word productively? Should it be productively when we're talking about making points? So that they
Effectively.
can what?
Effectively, yeah.
Effectively.
Right.
Effectively what? Communicate what? Their message. Right? Or let's use sermons because we're talking about pastors, just to be more specific.
Okay.
Right? What else?
So they can exhibit healthy appearance. Exhibit a healthy appearance. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Maybe model it. No, exhibit. I like the word exhibit. There's a reason why I like that word. Exhibit healthy appearance. Right? This is, and that's I'll say it's very important for a pastor to exhibit healthy appearance, because the appearance on maybe while they are preaching, or maybe when they are discipling, right? The way they look, if they are looking all sluggish, that would affect the room, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's a very good point, and I really, so just a confession, I connect to that a lot, right? Yeah, I've been to staff meetings where I didn't sleep well the nights before, and I went to the staff meeting, and my appearance was just all, and that wasn't good for the staff meeting. Good points.
So that they can endure the length of the day.
Okay, endure. So instead of saying learn, what do you want to really say? Endure what?
Other than length.
What do you mean by learn?
Length, like pastor on a Sunday or whatever respective worship day, it can be a long day.
Okay, so they want to endure the what?
Endure the effects of daily living, or daily, what is it? Whatever they go through, they're
Daily shepherding or
okay.
overseeing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Daily leadership.
Performing their duties.
Yeah.
Okay. Leadership.
Leadership.
Perform effectively. Let us say effectively perform duties.
Pastoral duties.
Pastoral duties. Okay, what of this, right? To sober-mindedness. I know it's a word. I know we use this. It's a churchy word, but I know in the secular world, it's not really used that much. Like sober-mindedness, I mean, like, okay, let's put this. Healthy mental stamina, right? So healthy mental stamina, because pastors go through a lot of, they don't just hear only good news all through their day. They might hear a mix of good and bad news all through their day. And so for them to have this healthy mental stamina to just take in all of those all of those challenges, right? They need quality sleep.
Right.
All right. Any other thing comes to mind?
This may be out there a little bit, but so that they can live longer.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, they at least have better chances of it anyway.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
At least have better chances of it.
What else?
How about exhibit healthy leadership qualities?
Okay.
Healthy leadership qualities, not just appearance, but leadership qualities.
Hmm. Okay. Hmm. All right. Any other one comes to mind? Prevents burnout. What else?
Keep alert.
Yeah. All right. Um, let's just put mental alertness. Hmm.
Mm.
Okay, so we have all these answers. Good. But one thing I want to also say, let's go back to this exhibit healthy leadership qualities, right? One thing you also want to do, Claybrook, I know you said this, you want to sometimes, which we might do for the others too, but you want to like narrow this down because there are so many qualities of a lead that is expected of a pastor. So you want to narrow this down. So when you say
Yeah.
healthy leadership qualities, like what are you talking about?
Well, physically, I mean, you're not only do you need that mental stamina, but you should exhibit that physical, physical stamina too. I mean, you have
Agility.
an appearance.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay. So that's agility, right? Okay. So I'll write that. I'll write that again, right? Because I thought you were talking about something else, right? So, like for when I think about exhibit healthy leadership qualities, right? When we talk about leadership qualities, right? Even from a biblical standpoint, looking at the pastoral qualifications, right? One of the things that I said about that the Bible says about a pastor must be what? Must be sober-minded, must not be quick to anger, right? So
Mhm.
imagine a pastor that has not had quality sleep. What happens that like that person, that kind of person might get irritated easily or angry easily,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Right. So um avoid behavioral
Mhm.
um right, maybe unneeded irritation towards others, right? Or towards it doesn't have to even towards members and
Members. Yeah.
duties, right? So it's not just only to the members, but also to their duties. Like they might just get irritated by the things they're supposed to do, right? Oh, you're supposed to like visit this old woman whose husband just passed away 10 minutes ago, suddenly. Because they've not had good sleep, they might just get, yes, they're supposed to like feel empathy, right? But they might get irritated, right? But still do it. But they do it in irritation. Like, I have one more thing,
Right, right.
right?
Hmm.
And one of the things that to prevent loss, um, loss of means. fervency, right? Or I know the word, like in our world, that's also a churchy word, right? Let's use passion, right?
Okay.
Right. So there are some pastors that do the work, but there is no more passion because they are not sleeping well. Right? They preach everything, but if you ask them, are you enjoying what you're doing? They're like, oh, I'm just taking it one day at a time, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm just doing it, all right? Yeah,
Right.
so the
I'll do
passion is
it.
no longer there,
Right.
right?
Right.
But then God calls us to do our work with fervency, with passion, right? So, so let's look at, so these are all good answers. Wow, we have about how many answers here? 5, 5, 10, 14 answers. Good job, right? And remember, we only need 3.
Mm.
Okay, that's right.
So
Yeah.
this is the hard part, right? This is the hard part, right? Now we need to come up with just 3. Now, to shrink this down to 3, you shouldn't just start by saying, okay, let me just look for the point that I want, right? No, don't do that, right? That's not how you go about this, right? You're not like, oh, okay, let me look for my favorite points. That's not the first thing you want to do, right? You can do that later on. But the first thing you want to do is that you want to look through all of those points. Are there any point here that probably sounds like a repetition?
Hmm.
There's a possibility, right? And when I say repetition, I mean like what we call the indirect repetition. I mean like these 2 points or these 2 or 3 points together, they're saying the same thing, but they are stated in different words, right? Their meaning is the same, right?
The maintain energy level and prevent burnout are somewhat similar.
Yes, good, 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 awesome. Maintaining energy level are somewhat similar, but why are they similar? So remember, why do you think they are similar?
Because they both have to do with stamina.
Yes, good job. Good job. So I want to tell you something. So there's something you need to think about, right? When you're you know um making choices between thesis answers, right? One thing you want to look out for is, like I said, delete, you know, look out for what? Repetitions. That's the first thing you want to look out for. Repetitions. The other thing you want to look out for is why I always call them presuppositions. That's just me. Right. And I think, Ronald, that was what you saw. Now, let's imagine we're writing our essay, right? Maintaining energy level in some ways connects to what? Preventing burnout,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Because quality sleep helps us to maintain energy level, right? If our energy level is maintained day after day through quality sleep, what happens?
Burnout.
Yeah, we don't have to experience burnout, right? That prevents burnout. So what we
Mm-hmm.
can say is this. So when we talk about presuppositions, we are saying that this prevent burnout is what? Is just I'm sorry. Prevent burnout is a sub point for what? Maintaining energy level. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Okay, what other one? Do you feel like these two they are saying the same thing or they are just presuppositions?
Agility.
Where is it? Agility and what?
Oh.
Done well.
Agility. Uh, hmm.
Yeah, agility is the same thing as maintaining energy level.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Right?
Right.
You see that? All right, what else?
To prevent unneeded irritation towards members and duties. Mental alertness. No, I mean, prevent the loss of ministerial passion.
Okay.
I would say endure effects of daily leadership is similar to the one just below it. Effective performance of pastoral duties.
Yes, good job.
Right.
Right? Good job.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, good job. Good job. Right? So what else? Hmm.
Hmm.
I think everything is fine now. There are
Okay.
no repetitions, no presuppositions. Now, the other thing you want to also look out for, the other thing you want to delete here are like statements that sound too generalized, right? Or some people say it's just too broad, right? This kind of statement probably needs to be narrowed down. What's that one? Like you feel like, you know what? If I'm gonna write on this, probably have to say a lot.
Healthy mental stamina. No.
Not really.
No. Maintain a healthy diet. No.
No.
Um,
If I name them all,
Okay,
I'll get one.
this is
Yeah, right.
actually this. Effectively
okay.
perform pastoral duties, right? It sounds too broad, right? What are these pastoral duties? Remember, your thesis statement must be narrowed, right? And if you also look at the other ones, effective communications in their sermon, like see the difference. This is more narrowed. We're talking about, communicating in sermon,
Mm-hmm.
but this one is just too broad. Pastoral duties. If you want to talk about pastoral, like that's a lot, right? So I'll say you should take that away because we want to be extra specific in our thesis, or for our thesis answers. Anyone? I feel like that's the only one, but if you find anyone, it's reducing. Okay, how many do we have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now the other one is illogical points. Right? These are points that you go back again and you read your answers and you're like, this is not the proper answer to this question, right? It doesn't answer this question well, right? So you want to look at that. Like, is there anyone here that you're like, this doesn't answer the question?
Mm,
Or it doesn't completely answer, it doesn't completely connect to the question. Don't overthink it. Anyone you see, just take it, just tell me to take it out.
I don't see one.
all of them seem to be pretty applicable to the
Yes, all
question.
of them. Right, and I think you're correct. But is there anyone that you're like, okay, yes, this is applicable, but we can do without it?
Maintain a healthy diet.
Correct. Yes, we don't need that. Right? We don't need it. Get it? Right? Good.
Gotcha.
Yeah, now this is the hard point, right? This is the part whereby you're like, you know what? This is the part whereby you just just make your choice, right? Just choose that three that you want.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is now that part whereby you're like, you know what?
Wow.
I've checked everything. Everything here looks good, right? Okay, which three? And again, remember what we said. When you're writing in an academic setting, you're writing based on your interests. As much as it's academic, but it should also connect to your personal interest too. Right. So out of all of these points, which one do you feel like, this particular point, I maybe you've seen another pastor, this has happened to one pastor before that you know, or it's happening to you as a pastor or something, right? So which point here is most appealing to you?
Prevent the loss of ministerial passion appeals most to me.
Good.
Think of also healthy mental stamina. So,
Yes. Okay. What else? Let Claybrook, you want to choose the last one?
For pastors, I'd say effective communication in their sermons.
that's exactly.
Yeah, very good. Right? Imagine, yeah. And for some of you, you might say, you know what? I don't just want to put effective communications in sermons. I want to say effective,
Delivery.
yeah, effective delivery, right? I'll say let's use communication, maybe in their um
Delivery.
let's use leadership duties,
Okay.
right? Which will probably include sermon, discipleship, administrative, right? Do you get it?
Yes.
Right? So it will include all, it will just encompass all of those duties, effective communication in their leadership duties, right? So now we have our three, right? But if I were writing this essay, I would actually choose this one to live longer, right? There are many pastors that, you know, you read from books, right? You read their life from books. Most of them died because they were not taking care of themselves. Not because, yeah, we know there are some, the Lord just took them away, right? But there are some, like, they were just so focused on ministry, not taking care of themselves, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, yeah. And I would have chose, okay, oh, why didn't we see this? Right? Mental stamina and mental alertness are almost the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
we didn't take note of that, right? Okay, but it's fine. So take that. So we have our three right here. And these are very good points. Very, very good. So we have 3 points, right? Right there. So the next thing is for us, E. We have our answers. I know that was a long process. Now we want to now construct what? The thesis statement. So the thesis statement, right? The thesis statement is, in most cases, I always tell students that there is a formula. There's a formula I always provide for that. So that will be TT plus, I always say subordinating conjunction So when we talk about in this case, right, I'll just say the word because, words like because of, by, of, to, in order to, Um, sometimes for, because of, by, of, to, in order to. Some will say due to,
Since.
right? No, no sense. Yeah, they are
Okay.
very specific, right? It's not all the subordinating conjunction, just all of this. That's all, right? And and I see why you use the word since, right? Because many people use the word since instead of, in place of because, right? So I see why you say that. But I'll say use the word because to make it more straightforward, right? Plus, what's the last name? Plus TA. Can someone tell me what is TT? If you can guess. Trick question. What do I mean by TT? Anyone wants to guess? Based on everything we've said so
Thesis
far.
topic.
Yes,
Thesis
this is
topic.
topic. Good. What's TA? I mean, TA, it
Thesis,
should be TA. What's
thesis answer.
TA? Yeah, thesis answers. Good job. Right? So, based on what we have here, can someone, I'm going to call on, let's see if I can shrink this down. Yeah. All right, let's do this. Ronald, can you tell us what is our thesis statement based on this? And take your time. Feel free to be creative too, right? Especially when you're choosing from this list. Or you know what? Let's do something. Let's do something different, right? In the chat box, right? So there's a chat box. I'm going to send hi to you all, right? So on the chat box, the both of you, I want you to type the thesis statement there. Let's do that. Let me see what you all will do.
Okay. All right, let's see.
The thesis
Or,
statement.
so I'm going to type hi, right? So respond to the hi, right? With your thesis statement. So they are all direct messages. Okay, so let's do this. Take the next 5 minutes or 3 minutes to construct your thesis statement. So type it in the chat. On the, yeah.
Let's see if I can cheat with my notes here. I don't think I can.
And remember, all the information you need is right here on the screen, right? We have our thesis topic, we have our thesis answers. And feel free to be creative, right? Okay. I'll respond. So Ronald has typed, posted this. This is Ronald. Okay. Have you posted, Playbrook?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. Take your time.
Oops.
Is it here? Oh, do this. Sent it. It's all right. Just send it.
Okay, here it goes.
Okay. All right. Let's do this. Let's start with the first one. Right. But before I start, I want to say good job, everyone. Right. Okay. Quality sleep is important because it fosters effective communication, right? Healthy mental stamina, and prevent the loss of ministerial passion. Good, good. I see you have your 3 points, right? This is just one sentence, right? A thesis statement is one sentence, right?
No.
So good job. But the only thing I see, which is normal, right? This is a normal error, right? Is usual among students. It says quality sleep is important. Good job. Because it fosters effective communication, healthy mental stamina, right? So if you look at it, because you have a comma here, right, it sounds like you're saying quality sleep is important because healthy mental stamina, right? So let's imagine I take this off. Or let's say it sounds like you're saying quality sleep is important because it's healthy mental stamina, right? So if I take this off, right? So this is how it sounds. Quality sleep is important because it's healthy mental stamina. Do you get, because of that comma you kept, right? Because of this comma here, that's the issue. But what you now need to do is that you need to fix this by saying quality sleep is important because it fosters effective communication and healthy mental stamina. Do you get it?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. And so that is called the unparalleled sentence error, right? Many students make that error, unparalleled sentence error, and prevents the loss of ministerial passion. Good, right? Now, something. Now, quality sleep. One other thing that I noticed here is that you did not mention your primary audience, the pastors.
Okay.
Yeah, you see that? So you should have
Yeah.
written pastors should what? Cultivate quality sleep, probably like something like that. Or some will say, just quality sleep is important for what? Pastors, because it fosters effective communication right? And always write it completely. It fosters effective communication in leadership duties, right? Effective communication in leadership duties and healthy, or you could take it out. You could take it out. Effective communication and healthy mental stamina and prevents loss of ministerial passion. Very good. That's it. Good work. Right? This is a thesis statement. One sentence, 3 points, one sentence, right? 3 supporting points. There is a claim, right? Remember what we said? There is a claim. Quality sleep is important for pastors. That's the claim. And then we have the what? The supporting points. So a thesis statement must have a claim and supporting points. Now let's go to the second one. Pastors should cultivate quality sleep habits because it will help them live longer. It will promote healthy mental stamina and prevent loss of ministerial passion, right? But again, remember, right? Living longer was not part of the deal again, right? Effective communication, right?
Okay.
So pastors should cultivate quality sleep habit because it would, you can just put it, right? One other thing is this, right? We also want to avoid what we call, so for remember, we said for Ronald, the issue was what? Unparalleled sentence error. But in your case, Claybrook, the issue here is this, 2 things. The first thing is that you want to try as much as possible to write your thesis statement in what? One sentence, right? And the second issue here is that your thesis statement here is probably a little bit wordy. It needs to be concise, right? So if you are just written this as, pastors, just write the thesis topic, right? In fact, I can copy and paste it. Pastors should cultivate quality sleep habits, right? So you don't have to say because it will help them too, right? You don't need that.
Okay.
Right? You can just say to effectively communicate, or you can say for, if you want, for effective what? Communication. Healthy mental stamina and maybe sustain ministerial passion. All right. All right, let's just effective communication, healthy ministerial. You can just put increased, or it doesn't have to be increased, right? It could be maintained. Ministerial passion. All right, something like that. Right, effective communication, healthy mental stamina, maintain ministerial passion. So maintain there is not a verb, right? I know it sounds, but it's an adjective there. It's functioning as an adjective there, right? Maintained ministerial passion, right? So that's it. You all get it.
Yes.
Yep.
Right? So you can
Got
be
it.
creative with it, like I said. right? So both of you are correct, right? The way you've written it, both correct, right? Even though it's different approach, but it's fine.
Yeah, just one sentence.
Yes, one sentence for 3 points, right? So we have your what? Your claim. Yeah, this is your claim, right there. And that's your supporting point. You see that?
Yes.
The thesis statement must have both elements, claim, supporting points. Okay, any questions?
No.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm glad this was helpful. I hope you all found it helpful. Yeah, so I'll just say if you need further help, reach out to the Ally Center and we'll be available to help you out, support you, and provide writing resources. And yeah, so just reach out if you need further help. All right.
Thank you
Okay.
so
Thank you,
much.
Have
Appreciate
a
your
good
help.
one. Yes,
Both of y'all have a
sirs.
great night.
You
you
too.
do the same. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.